Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write film reviews for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. I too am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I write about movies. My pronouns are he, him, and I also am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
That you are. Yes, you are. And how? That just felt like the right response to that. Well,
gosh, gee, Evan, thanks.
He'll.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why I thought Goofy was the right response to that. But sure.
Yeah, that's all right.
The goof.
All right, we're here to talk about movies as we always are. But before we get to this week's movies, I want to mention that over on our Patreon this week, we are honoring the late, great Gene Hackman, talking about the 1975 film Night Moves. So we had a fun conversation all about that, talking about Gene Hackman's performance in the movie and all of its film noir elements. It was a good time. So if you're a patron, definitely check that out. And if you're not, please consider joining. For $5 a month, you get weekly bonus episodes where we talk about mainly older films, some newer stuff too. And we have monthly polls that you get to vote in. We have one that's coming up soon. This month, we actually had two polls. We didn't do one in February, so we're like, we got to do two in March. So you'll be getting a second poll, patrons. So look out for that. And yeah, while I'm at it, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Peace Patron, Heather Sachs. Thank you, Heather, for your support.
Thanks,
Thank you, Heather.
Now, onward to this week's movies. We're living in a horror kind of world this week. We've got the horror movie Ash, which is like a sci-fi horror movie. And we've got Locked, which is also kind of like it's a psychological, much like Ash is as well, but a very different kind of situation. But we're going to start with Ash, which is directed by Flying Lotus and written by Johnny Remler. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it stars Isa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul, the main kind of two in the movie, but it's Isa Gonzalez is the lead, and the majority of the time you spend with her. And I'll give our IMDb summary. A woman wakes up on a distant planet and finds the crew of her space station viciously killed. Her investigation into what happened sets in motion a terrifying chain of events. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'd say that's accurate. The opening of the film is like she's like passed out on the floor with like a head wound, and like alarms are going off. The space station is like, almost in like shutdown mode, and so she like comes to and is like figures out she needs to set on like the emergency power, and she's walking around like totally disoriented, having these like nightmarish flashes of horrifying viscera and face melting and all kinds of just nastiness. And then she's walking around just seeing like dead crew members, blood everywhere. Like, what the fuck happened here? She gets the power situation kind of stabilized. She finds these like medical patches that she starts like putting on that seem to be kind of like helping her try to piece together what happened. And what else? So that she's there kind of trying to figure shit out, and then Aaron Paul shows up. He's like banging on the airlock, and then he comes inside, and you find out that he is on the orbiter that's been like orbiting this planet. They've been on like a mission with other teams kind of scouting habitable planets in the area. They found this one. They've been on it for a little while, like doing research and trying to figure things out. And but he had lost communication with them, so he came down to the planet to figure out what the hell was going on, and then walked into this shit show of a situation. And so it's like the two of them trying to piece together what happens, like trying to, I don't know, just understand what the hell is going on. Then you find out that there's like terraforming that was already happening on this planet that they found. So there was like another alien. There's like an alien race that also found this planet and was trying to make it theirs. And they're this weird kind of like parasitic species that just kind of like gloms onto things and then like, expands and grows and multiplies. And it turns out that this parasite took over the other crew members and they all started kind of like attacking and killing each other, and she managed to survive by killing the other crew members, but then the parasite's been inside her head this entire time. So you find out that Aaron Paul is actually already dead, and this has just been the parasite like messing with her the entire time because one of the other crew members who did survive is roaming around, and so the parasite is trying to get her to kill that other crew member. And it works. She kills the other crew member, but then she realizes, what's going on, that the parasite is it did all this, so she figures out a way to extract it or excise it. There's this great like medical bot in the movie. It's like a medical briefcase that Aaron Paul takes out at one point. And I love that it's all in Japanese, by the way. It's like it's a Japanese like scanning. And so once she realizes that, because she had it happen to her before, but she didn't realize that the parasite was manipulating her into thinking she was fine. So she does it for real. And then the thing's like, parasite detected. Would you like to excise this parasite? She's like, hell yeah, I would. So then it like, sucks it out of her. And she's like, okay, cool. I'll go get to the ship to make it back to the orbiter and I'll call for help. And it seems like all is good. She's escaped. She's on her way to the orbiter. And then in kind of like a mid-credit sequence, we see the backside of the orbiter and it's just covered in this parasite, completely covered. So that's kind of where we leave things, that she's just totally fucked. classic horror movie ending, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we thought we were safe, we thought we made it out, but we're not.
Surprise.
You can't easily kill this alien race that just latches on everything. Anyway, did I miss any relevant plot points before we talk about what we thought of the movie?
I don't think so.
You missed when Stan Lee comes in for his cameo, because
that's true. He did appear. It was a hallucination, but he appeared.
Yeah. No, the only reason I say that is the whole symbiote thing, but we can get to that.
Yeah. So let's start with you, Dave. What did you think of Ash? I know you said you made one note. I'm putting note in air quotes about the movie. Let's lay it on us.
I will read to you my one note. How many times is she going to grab at something that's on the floor and just out of her reach? I think there are 3 instances when that happens with 3 different crew members that she sends to Hades. I mean, I like the premise of this. I like that the aliens, although it does just turn into an aliens are trying to kill us thing, the aliens actually have a purpose and they make it known. And the purpose is, our planet's dying. We got here first. Fuck you. And I was like, oh, somebody went to the trouble to explain what the aliens are doing there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the
we
aliens,
were terraforming first, damn it.
Yeah, we were going to rape this planet's land first. We're colonizing it, or whatever they were going to do. Because I guess we don't really get that far. What we get is that Earth has run out of oxygen, or is running out of oxygen. Is that it? So I think, unfortunately, we get kind of bogged down. I don't think there's enough story in this fucking story for this to be a 95-minute movie. It's like, gets bogged down in all these special effects, some of which are good, some of which are fucking hokey as shit. Like, just the CGI work is highly variable.
Yep.
I mean, the coolest effect I thought is when they drop whatever it is they're dropping down that well, the terraform well.
Yeah.
And the aliens shoot it back at them and it like fucking turns the person's face into like sludge.
Jelly. Yeah. It just melts their whole face off. It was just like a goop inside their broken helmet.
It's like, ooh, I think that something wants you to stay away from there. Mm-hmm. And but a lot of the time I just was thinking like, I just kind of expect all this. It's It's a movie where you find an alien intelligence, and even though this is better than most in the sense that the aliens do have a purpose, it still just turns into a cat and mouse, like, let's kill each other in the dark kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I hear that.
That's kind of a drag. I think Isa Gonzalez was fine. I don't really think there's anything special about what she was doing. I mean, how many different ways can you reach out for something that's beyond your grasp? How many times does she end up on the floor being attacked by one of the other crew members, and she's reaching for a pair of scissors or for a knife or for a hammer? I mean, my God. And thank you for reminding. This movie went out of my head so quickly. I forgot there was another crew member still alive that she had to kill.
Yeah, in a brutal way, I might add. She ends up, battling this crew member in the shower and then plugs a hose into her space helmet and drowns the other woman inside her own helmet.
But the best part is when she has the like medical computer diagnose her and there's nothing wrong with her. So she just has to sit with the realization that she just drowned her.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, cause of death, drowning. I loved that another couple things. Sorry about the medical computer before I forget. I loved that when it did like the postmortem at the bottom, it was like, sorry for your loss after it, it did the whole thing, and then after it excised the parasite, it was like, rate your experience. It had a little like 5-star scale.
Oh, it also, when it was diagnosing Brian, Aaron Paul's character, and how he'd been dead for 51 days from blunt force trauma, it had a little hammer like give going like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, it was weirdly lighthearted to have this medical bot in this otherwise like grim sci-fi scenario.
And where is that creativity? Not necessarily the humor, but where's the creativity in the rest of this movie? I'll give it credit for being very rainbowish as far as the color spectrum goes.
A lot of bisexual lighting in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, it's very Mandy-esque.
Yes, absolutely. But I just really kind of, who gives a shit? That's really kind of how I feel.
All right.
Now, one of you may say something that makes me go like, oh yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. What should we, Megan? What did you think about this one?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to say anything that's going to convert you. But yeah, no, I liked the same things you liked. I really liked the color scheme. I liked how vivid and vibrant it was. Especially, we've talked about this, like considering how so many movies lately are very monotone and very murky looking. Like this is vibrant and vivid, especially in some of the dream sequences. The dream sequence where she's on a lush planet, Raya, played by Isa Gonzalez, and there's just like a lot of light and a lot of like really beautiful streaming through plants. Like there's just a lot of vibrancy here that I really appreciated. I love Aaron Paul. I think he's a great actor. I think he's fine here. I also really like Isa Gonzalez. I particularly love her in the film I Care a Lot. I think she's really great in that. She's also really good in the Three Body Problem. And I think she's fine here. Like fine in the sense of she's doing a solid job. But I kind of agree with you, Dave. Like I don't think she's doing anything like spectacularly unique. But I think she's doing solid work. She's a solid actor. What I do like is that I read in the press notes that the two of them are really good friends in real life, and they've always wanted to work together, and they've never had the opportunity, so they were really excited to work together. I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. That's sweet. Yeah, and they do kind of have an easy rapport between the two of them that I think kind of complicates the narrative, because neither, the whole thing is like, who could, can I trust this person? I don't know. I also agree with you, David, that the effects are variable. Some of them are really spectacular, and the effects are gnarly. I love how goopy and like I love the body horror elements going on here. This film's definitely a vibe, and it's definitely a vibe more than a story per se. But I do agree with you, Dave. It's a great premise. I'm very much here for, parasites and, taking over bodies and, who can I trust? I don't know. The issue, though, is that this has been done so many times before.
So many times.
It's Alien. It's pulling and cribbing directly from Alien, like right down to the title, Ash, like the robot Ash from the first one. The medical bot, which I think might be the greatest part of the movie, reminded me so much of the medical abortion scene in Prometheus that Noomi Rapace does. It's very much like The Thing. It reminded me a lot of the Russian sci-fi film Sputnik that we covered a few years ago, where there's a parasite inhabiting an astronaut who comes back. And there's other films that deal obviously with like amnesia, sci-fi films like Dark City and so many others. So this is just pulling from so many other sci-fi and horror works. I wish it kind of did more of its own thing in the telling of this story, and I wish we delved deeper. But I agree with you, Dave. I think you brought up such a great point about the aliens and how they're like, no, this is our planet. We have read your memories and we know you're useless and in an inefficient species, which I kind of love. So that's great. And I'm okay with the cat and mouse. I just wish there was kind of more stakes. I wish there was more to it. I wish I cared more about the characters because we don't really learn a lot about them. And I know that's kind of tricky because Raya has amnesia and she's kind of piecing everything together and she doesn't know at first what killed the crew or who killed the crew. And then she's like, oh shit, I killed the crew, but she doesn't know why. And so I like that mystery element. And I like, how everything is unknown and she's learning and we're learning with her. I like that. So I liked this. I just wish there was a little bit more depth to the characters and kind of a little bit more story, but I liked what was here. It's not reinventing the wheel by any means, but I liked it.
It also reminded me of Life, the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds.
Yep, for sure.
Although that movie had no explanation for the aliens' behavior. So,
no,
it was just evil.
And I actually don't like that movie.
I don't like it either.
No,
I actually think
either.
I think that they just pissed the alien off, and so it killed them all. I really do think that's what happened.
Yeah,
because it was kind of like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And then they were like, "Let me pinch you," and it was like, "Fuck you, man. No one pinches this alien."
Right?
Or whatever. Something like that happened. I don't remember what. Oh, we forgot to mention though that even though what's her name? Raya. Even though
maybe it is Rhea. I don't know.
I heard Aaron Paul pronounce it Rhea, but I wasn't sure if that was. You know how sometimes characters pronounce names incorrectly?
No, it is Rhea. You're right. It is Rhea. I'm saying Raya. I'm sorry. I mispronounced it. It's okay.
Rhea. We'll go with Rhea. And even though she isn't responsible for finding the aliens, she is responsible for bringing them onto the ship.
Yes.
Yes,
she is.
I mean, if she's any kind of medical officer, the one thing they didn't steal from Alien is somebody saying, "Hey, we've got a quarantine procedure."
Right.
Actually, they do. They
do, just not verbatim.
Yeah, I can't remember which one of them it is. Like when she puts it in the petri dish, they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And she's like, "Nothing." And then it breaks out of the petri dish because you ain't gonna keep me in some bullshit glass. So,
yep. I think it's the captain who says it, but yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh, she's breaking protocol. Like and he says like, there's a reason we have protocol. I'm like, straight from Alien.
Yeah.
Yep.
Evan, how about you?
I'm very much on the same page as you about both of you about this movie, about what works and what doesn't. I was glad you said this movie is a vibe, Megan, because that's exactly how I feel about it. It is absolutely a vibe. It's lighting, it's score, it's a whole mood, and I think that is kind of cool what it's trying to do. Although I think the score is very overwhelming and overpowering in places that I didn't appreciate. So I like that it was trying to just lay out its own kind of mood, which would be good considering, what you were saying about it being very derivative. The Thing, I feel like this movie in ways remind me a bit of Sunshine. It's got a little bit of like the story for Doom rolled in there with like the claustrophobia
Yes.
and the darkness.
Yes.
You can't tell what's going on. And so I feel like it's very derivative, and it had an opportunity to maybe try and use the vibe to counteract the more derivative elements. But like you both were saying, the other characters are so thin, and the conceit is an interesting one, that they're all dead and she's trying to piece things together, but it also works against the movie because we don't know anything about the other characters. And so it makes them feel very thin, and it makes the premise feel kind of thin, and it's hard to kind of stretch this story out for as long as it gets stretched out, which is a bummer. I really like some of the art direction in this. Love the like medical bot. I love the spacesuits, the way they look like almost like bug-like in their appearance, and like
yeah.
I'm all about the art direction in this movie. I think that is quite strong. I just wish the rest of the story or the rest of the movie like worked. The score was too much. The story was too derivative, too thin. Yeah, it's a shame, because I think there was an opportunity here to be like something that was a lot more interesting than it turned out to be.
Wah, wah.
And I liked that like you said, Dave, that the aliens reveal their motivations, and it actually is a decent reason. Like, get the fuck out of here. We found this place first.
Yeah.
Also, your species is inefficient. I thought that was like such a great like takedown of humans. You suck, humans. You're so inefficient. You should feel honored to join our race, I think is what they say. Something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
do. It's a privilege, is I think what they say.
Yes.
Yeah. Thought that was quite good. And of course, you know, when she's leaving, you like, I don't think I was surprised that the orbiter was covered in the parasite. I just was like, okay, of course she's gonna get there and she's gonna be totally doomed.
You know, I wasn't, but in a way I was. And the only reason I was slightly surprised is because so often American films are not that bleak. They're not allowed to be that bleak in their endings, and often have to be changed. So in that way, I was surprised. But to me, it made perfect sense based on everything we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt inevitable.
Yeah.
Did
also
so go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I also like that the movie kind of played with our heads a little bit as to like, oh, it seems like she definitely killed the other crew members, but like at first you're not really sure if it was a true like psychotic break. And then like later on you figure out, oh, okay, she was just killing them because they were infected with the parasite.
Right.
Not because she lost her mind. Sorry, Dave, what were you going to say?
I'm trying to remember now. Oh, yeah, I do remember. When she discovered that Aaron Paul had been dead for 51 days from blunt force trauma, did we find out what the blunt force trauma was or what killed him?
Oh yeah, there's like a pipe or something that the parasite, like it grabbed like a huge pipe and was like beating him to death with it. Like, because he went and hid in that little like crawl space or whatever, and then I don't remember which of the it was one of the men had this pipe and then went in there and just like beat him to death with it.
Where was I during that? Probably, yeah, it was just like, okay, another death, whatever.
It was during one of the chaotic kind of flashbacks where they were revealing what actually happened. I did find by the time we got to that point of the movie, I was kind of, I don't want to say disengaged, but I definitely was a lot less engaged. It was kind of like, I don't really care at this point what's happening. So I definitely hear you. I was not paying as close attention when we were getting to the, you know, chaotic, action-y, stabby flashbacks.
The stabby flashbacks, usually the best kind, but
right. I feel like the action needed to be better, like as far as more visceral, more visually stunning, and or like if we're not going to know more about the characters to care about them, which I think we should have. I think that should have been in there in the flashbacks. Right. But if we're not going to do that, then you need to really focus on the visuals, and so with the action and with pacing and tension and all of that. And so yeah, I think that should have been better if we're going that route.
Agreed. Yeah. Something we can actually see what's going on and it's not so dark all the time. Like the space station doesn't be dark the whole time. I think, you know, in the flashbacks and things, we could have seen some better lighting.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. It tried. And, you know, it was a bit of a mixed bag, unfortunately. All right. Should we move on to Locked?
Sure.
So, Locked. It is directed by David Yorovsky and written by Mariano Cohn, Gaston Duprat, and Michael Arlen Ross. And it stars Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. And a very kind of straightforward IMDb sentence summary. A thief breaking into a luxury SUV realizes that he has slipped into a sophisticated game of psychological horror. Yep, that's a very long-winded way of saying thief breaks into car, gets locked in car, and terrorized by owner of said car.
That's a better description.
Yes. Yeah. He's truly locked inside this customized torture chamber. He's so Bill Skarsgård in the beginning, he's like a real down on his luck kind of guy. He's like desperate for money. His car's in the shop and he's a few $100s short, and the owner is like holding his car hostage so he can't pick up his daughter. And obviously that's a problem because he's supposed to have her a couple days a week, and he's trying to kind of rebuild trust with his ex and his daughter. And so he's like fucking up right at the beginning of the movie, desperate for money. He like steals a wallet from one of the guys at the shop, and then is like buying scratch tickets and like just looking for anything he can steal to make a quick, you know, buck. He's literally just walking around, you know, just like trying to open doors on cars and see if they will. And so he finds this car in the middle of a parking lot, and he opens it and climbs in, and he's kind of just like rooting around in there, like, okay, what can I find in here? He finds some sunglasses, and he's like, okay, I'll just get out. Wait a minute. I can't get out of here. I'm locked inside. What the fuck? And then he very quickly gets like a phone call over the car's, you know, like smart system, and it's Anthony Hopkins, and he's like, haha, I got you, thief. And he's like, I do this. This is like this. What did you say? This is the 7th time that someone has tried to steal my car, and this is the 7th time I've done this, basically. So he's like some unhinged, terminally ill guy whose daughter was murdered by criminals, and so he's on some twisted revenge kick where he's like, I got nothing to lose, so I might as well just murder people until I die.
Well, daughter was killed like decades earlier, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, grieve for as long as you like, but it's pretty thin from a screenplay standpoint. Anyway.
Yeah. So he's like, I built this specialized car for torture. So he's like, there's cameras all over the place inside the car.
I would love it if that's the way he spoke, is like, I built this car for torture.
No, yeah. Instead, he's a very just kind of really obnoxious, long-winded guy who's got a chip on his shoulder. One of those like nutbag right-wing people who's like, I'm teaching criminals a lesson because the police are not going to get the job done. They're not going to be like harsh enough to teach people the consequences of their actions. And yeah, so there's like cameras all over the car. All the seats are, you know, charged, so he can like tase Bill Skarsgård in there. He can crank the climate control, you know, to be way too hot or way too cold, and blast yodeling. And yeah, all the windows are bulletproof and tinted, so you can't see into the car. And yeah, the movie takes place over the course of like several days, like over like what 4 or 5 days, where he's locked in the car. And very early on, he has a gun and he tries to shoot it and shoots himself in the leg because the bullet ricochets on the inside of the car. And he also like slices his arm open trying to escape. So then he like passes out and then wakes up, and Anthony Hopkins is like patched him back up and left him locked inside the car. So it's just torture, drinking his own urine, torture.
At least we didn't get to the fucking feces. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
They talk about it, though.
They do.
I was going to say,
yeah.
They didn't show him taking a shit, but he would have had to have taken a shit over the period of time that he is in this car. And I'm sure it smelled pretty nasty. So, yeah, there's a lot of torture. And then at some point, the car starts moving, and Anthony Hopkins is driving the car around the city. He goes into some alley where these, you know, thugs are beating up this guy, and he kills both of them with the car. which is horrifying for Bill Skarsgård to witness. Because one guy, he just runs over and like smashes his head like a melon onto the wheel of the car, and the other guy, he smashes and like crushes against a gate. It's pretty
you see his head,
stuff.
You see his head explode in that one.
You see exploding heads in this movie. Lots of blood and guts and nastiness. And then eventually gets to the point where Anthony Hopkins drives him to like some remote location, then gets in the car with him and is going to like drive him out to the middle of nowhere to like murder him. At this point, he's like insisted that, like he at gunpoint has made him like cuff himself, like zip tie himself to the seat so he can't move or do anything. But the whole time he's like found, because he's worked on cars, but Bill Skarsgård character is like a mechanic or has worked with cars before. He knows that there's like this kill switch inside the glove compartment area, and he's been like fiddling with it, and in a very disgusting way tried to like reach under there and like hit it, and he's like snapped his nails off trying to do it, but he's been like sticking his foot under there until like try and get it. And while they're out driving on some windy road in the country, he manages to trigger the kill switch, and then they lose control of the car. It goes sailing over like this cliff. And then they're like in the process, Anthony Hopkins like accidentally shoots himself because like the gun goes off and the bullet like ricochets and hits him. Then after the crash, like his Bill Skarsgård's phone reception is back because it's been like jammed this entire time. His daughter is calling him being like, "Daddy, are you going to come pick me up?" And he's like, Anthony Hopkins is like, "You should get that," and actually lets him take the call. And then he's like, "Yeah, honey, I'll be there at 2:15." And he has to escape the car, which catches on fire and like explodes into flames. And he manages to somehow escape. I don't know how no one insists that he needs to go to a hospital, given how badly he's fucked up. Because like some stranger stops and picks him up. So he like goes back. He's gonna get his car back because he won $500 on one of those scratch tickets, which he realizes later after he's already been trapped in the car. And
he even says, "I had it the whole time."
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I also forgot during the driving sequence, Anthony Hopkins drove to find his daughter waiting for him after school and chases her down and almost runs her over with the car with him in there. And he gets so desperate to stop that he almost shoots himself in the head to try and make Anthony Hopkins like leave her alone. So yeah, he ends up going and picking up his daughter, and he like buys her a bike because that's the way he's going to be able to get to her fastest, since he can't get his car still after all of this business. And he shows up to pick her up from school, and that's like the end of the movie. Is that, "Hey, Dad's here, and don't ask about all of my bruises and blood everywhere. I'm here for you, honey."
Well, he did leave her that message that was very distressing, and
Yeah.
and that's why she called. She's like, "Are you okay? You
That's
sound
right.
terrible."
Yeah, he records this like last ditch message, and it's like not sending, but then it does send. So she's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" He's like, "I'm fine, honey," even though the car is like bursting into flames around him.
Right.
"All good, sweetie. Don't you worry about Dad." All right, so that's the movie. Those are all the key plot points, I would say. Yeah, Megan, what did you think of this one?
I kind of liked this because I really liked Bill Skarsgård in this. I think he gives a fantastic performance. I think he's always great, whether he is a villain, whether he is a hero character. It doesn't matter. I think he always gives a really good performance, and I think he is giving it his all here. I feel like I know who Eddie is as a person. He is a fuck up. He's a deadbeat dad, but he loves his daughter. He, thinks he's trying his best. Whether he actually is or not, I don't know, but he thinks he is. And, I really liked him. I really liked, not the character per se, but I really liked the performance here. And I liked hearing rather, he and Anthony Hopkins spar. I think that works really well. I think some of the tense scenes are so fucking tense. Like when the car is chasing down Eddie's daughter. That is horrifying.
Yeah.
And it's so tense. And then the car, she like gets down in the street because she's like so scared. She doesn't know what to do. And he like runs over her scooter, like, and just misses her. Like, that's so awful. And the scene where the two guys in the alleyway get killed and like where he's crushed against the gate, that's tense. That's horrifying. So there's some really great scenes here of tension where it really is ratcheted up, and I love that. But a lot of this is very, very slow. It's like slow, ratchet up tension, then slow, ratchet up tension. So I kind of wish the pacing had been more tense consistently. Having said that, though, I think it makes good use of small space. So you feel trapped, you feel very claustrophobic. From an audience perspective, I appreciate that. Not from a person who gets claustrophobic, but in small spaces. But yeah, and I also think that Anthony Hopkins' character is full of shit. I think he's just an unhinged dick. You know, the whole like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. But I really like the commentary that's happening, the class commentary and their argument where Eddie's like, you know, you have all this luxury, you know, you have all this. And when Anthony Hopkins' character is like talking about how terrible people are and, you know, your generation, you don't appreciate anything, you don't understand anything. And he's talking about the degradation of society and the rise of crime and of drug use. And it's like, well, you know, maybe if these people who are struggling, if they had the money and access to healthcare and mental health care, they, you know, you did, Anthony Hopkins, as a doctor, you know, you fucko. But I like the class commentary that's happening, and I like their discussions. So overall, I liked this. I wish the pacing had been more consistent, but I liked this because of the acting and some of the dialogue, the conversations happening.
Cool. Dave, what about you?
You know, I think that was my review of Ash too. I also think Bill Skarsgård is really good in this. I actually think he's quite a fine actor, and it blows my mind that his brother is Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh my God. Every time.
I know. Every time.
Poor Alexander Skarsgård.
That's because, Dave, you don't like Alexander Skarsgård, right?
That is correct. I mean, good looking guy? Sure. Good actor?
He can be great, I think.
I think he can be great.
I think he was the right choice for the Northman, for example. I mean, I think that role suited him well.
Agreed. If you saw him, you may disagree, but if you saw him in Big Little Lies, you might feel differently about his acting abilities.
Perhaps. But getting back to what is the movie called? Locked?
And Locked. Yeah.
I think, you know, I always have a really hard time tolerating officious pricks like Anthony Hopkins' character. Just he's only there to be an unredeemed asshole. That is his only. He's just evil, and it's like, you know, if he's not Satan, does he have to be just evil? I mean, can't we give some fucking nuance? And I suppose that's what the whole "my daughter got shot in the neck" thing is about. But it's just like it's treated like a throwaway by the time they get to it.
Right. Well, because Bill Skarsgård's character doesn't even ever ask him again about it until the very end, which just kind of surprises me that he wouldn't have circled back to that sooner.
Yeah. And I had a really hard time at the beginning when Bill Skarsgård was like just screaming at Anthony Hopkins through the phone, and he's getting shocked, and this is happening and that's happening. And it's like, look, I know you're scared, dude, and you're freaking the fuck out, but I don't know if you've noticed this. Every time you do something that he doesn't like, your life gets worse. So knock it the fuck off. And I also don't understand why Anthony Hopkins decided to get in the car and drive him the rest of the way. You know, it's like, if you already got it by RC, why don't you just have it go all the way to your fucking doctor mansion, and then you and your assistant, you know, Igor, can put him in the fucking basement and strap him down, and then it's Red Rooms Part 2, So
Mhm. Or just have the car go off the cliff the way it did, but he could have made it go off the cliff or something.
Yeah.
No,
he could have been in it.
I'm
I
with you.
mean, I would imagine car accident in a almost indestructible car, probably a terrible way to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think for the most part, Megan, I think you're right on. The pacing is, and I think it's designed this way. I don't think it's like bad filmmaking per se.
No.
It's just like, this is how it's written. This is how we did it to do this, to have these moments of like, just sort of slow, just kind of like, oh my God, I'm stuck in this car. What am I gonna do?
I gotta drink my pee.
Yeah. And then, oh my God, running over a guy in the street, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's I don't think Anthony Hopkins is particularly good. I feel like he phoned it in, literally.
Yes, agreed.
And when he finally gets there, it's kind of like, it's like he just made the choice to be smug, and it's like, give me something more than smug, would you please? Come on. Smug's no fun. Unless you're getting, a skewer through your head, then that would make it fun. But no, you like burn to death and off screen, whatever. So actually, I don't even think, isn't he already, he's dying by the time the car catches fire, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even burn to death.
Yeah.
No.
Slowly bleeds out from a accidentally self-inflicted gunshot wound. I did, if this
There's
movie...
something beautiful about that, though, right? That he
sure.
shot by his own stupid hand.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like if this movie really wanted to be nasty, then it would have killed off Bill Skarsgård too.
I thought it was going to.
I also thought it might go that way.
Yeah.
I thought it might
I didn't
too.
think he had a chance in hell of getting out of that situation, honestly.
And yeah, I thought that, if this movie wanted to like turn it from 2.5 stars into 1 million stars, you kill Bill Skarsgård, and then the final shot is the daughter waiting at school and deciding to just go home by herself.
Oh man!
Wow, that would have been grim.
Yeah,
Grim.
so bleak.
I mean,
Yeah.
you think Night Moves was grim? Holy shit! So
Yeah.
got a little Dr. Chris scream doctor.
Gonna say that's
there.
some original Descent ending shit.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. And there's 2 endings to The Descent. There's the real one.
Yeah, that's why I said
where
the
she's-
original ending.
Right.
Yeah.
She's in the cave, whatever. And in she actually gets out, but she hallucinates that her friend is there, right? Isn't that what happens in the car?
Yeah, in the
American release.
American US ending, yes, she gets out.
Yeah. Anyway, Evan, how about you?
So it's a more uplifting ending. Anyway.
Oh, I really like this premise on paper, the idea of a thief being stuck in a locked car. I found this movie torturous, but because it is about torture and it is so unflinchingly about torture and suffering, I think I have a hard time with movies that are like this, like horror movies that just center on someone suffering in this kind of way. That's why I never could do like the Hostel movies.
Oh god.
And this movie reminded me a lot of that movie where Willem Dafoe was locked in that luxury high rise. Yeah, and in all the worst ways of like just watching. Well, yeah, that one was worse because I don't even think he didn't escape in that movie, right? He just died in there, I thought, or he didn't even get the like chance to kill the prick who locked him in there in the first place. At least in this, he has a chance to kill Anthony Hopkins, which I feel like is the only way that I thought the movie was going to end, because I'm like, this movie, the only resolution to me is that he's going to have to come face to face with Anthony Hopkins and be able to kill him in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I struggled, and I think to your point, Megan, that the pacing of it and the way he's in the car and the car is stationary for so long, I think made it even harder for me to stomach, because he's just stuck, not moving inside the car. When I pictured this movie in my head initially, I was thinking like it probably would take off fairly quickly, where like the car would be driving around and all kinds of craziness would be happening, but he'd be stuck in there, unable to do anything about it. And I thought that would have been a really fast-paced thriller and really interesting. And this didn't turn out to be that, sadly. And the torture and the suffering of it all just really, it was difficult to stomach because it was well done, but also just, I think that's my problem. I don't like this kind of movie. It's not my thing. I liked the class commentary that was inserted into it, and I think there were moments of that I found interesting, if not heavy-handed in some places. And I think Bill Skarsgård is really great in this. And I like him sparring with Anthony Hopkins, even though, as you put it, Dave, he's phoning it in. Literally and figuratively.
And figuratively.
Yeah.
So I didn't like hate this movie, but I also can't be like, I liked this movie, because watching it was such a visceral and unpleasant experience for me. Like, I was relieved by the time it was over. Like, oh, thank God I don't have to suffer through this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also thinking that, I don't know if it did this intentionally, but a lot of it reminded me of Phone Booth. You remember that movie?
Yes. Yes.
Although Kiefer Sutherland was a better villain, I think, than Anthony Hopkins. I can't believe that sentence was spoken by me. But
that is a shocking statement, but I think you are right.
Yeah, and it also had what I can only assume is the Joel Schumacherist of Joel Schumacher choices. The way to make to have Kiefer Sutherland's voice, even though he's on a phone in a shitty New York phone booth, be the clearest you've ever heard anybody's voice ever.
I love Joel Schumacher.
I thought you were going to say Bat Nipples was the most, Batman's nipples on the suit was the most Joel Schumacher-ish.
No, let's be clear. Yeah. The most Joel Schumacher-ish is the saxophone guy in The Lost Boys.
True. Very true.
Wait a minute.
By Bat Nipples.
Followed by Bat Nipples.
What about Rob Lowe as the saxophone guy in Sam Elmo's Fire? I mean, there's that too.
No,
not enough. Okay.
Not enough. He was he was like practicing there. And then he like ramped it up for.
He's like, wait until you see my coup de grace, saxophone guy.
Exactly. I love that saxophone guy.
Yeah.
Tangent City. We've gone down. We've taken a left.
We sure have.
We definitely did, Dave. I'm appreciating your car puns, I have to say. Yeah, I really wanted this to be into this, and I was really hoping for more thriller than horror with this, because I think this could have been a really interesting, fast-paced, kind of breakneck thriller, and it wasn't that.
That would have been an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break in here and say I think that the horror of this is subjective. I don't like torture porn, Eli Roth kind of hostile stuff either, really.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I find this to be sort of on the shallow end of that. And so I didn't really find it too horrific. Well, I didn't find it horror in the horror way, but I did find it horrific. And listen, this is how we treat people. But it still struck me more as like thriller vibes, except for the exploding head against that one grate. But
multiple exploding heads. Yeah, that was pretty nasty.
Yeah. Wasn't very well done, but it was still gross.
I mean, Sam Raimi is a producer on this, so, not surprised that there's a
I think
head.
Quite a hands-on producer from what I read. So
Yes, I read that too. Yeah, which is great. That's nice to see. Yeah.
I definitely feel like I'm seeing that in the like exterior shots, the kind of like spiraling aerial shots, the kind of like chaotic establishing shots that like drop you right into the city vibe, the crime-ridden, graffiti-soaked city vibe that this movie is like trying to create.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know where I felt the Sam Raimi vibe though? When the woman is doing her lipstick on the side of the at the side of the car, and you can see Bill Skarsgård on the other side. I just kept thinking of Ash looking at himself in the mirror in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was a great shot too, where he's like he's pounding and trying to get her attention, but because it's soundproofed, she can't hear and she can't see because of tinted windows. Yeah, I like that.
The car didn't rock at all. I mean, I guess if it was really heavy, okay, but
yeah. I know, but I thought the same thing too. Yeah, but maybe not. Maybe he modified the car so it wouldn't rock at all.
Mm-hmm.
How long was Bill Skarsgård passed out, you think, for Anthony Hopkins to get the car either to him or get himself to the car, sew up his arm wound, remove the bullet from his leg, stanch the bleeding, get him patched up, and then escape? I mean, that's a full working day.
Yeah, that is the kind of thing that is a little bit of a plot hole. Like, you could maybe say, all right, he got to him and then, knocked him out, drugged him and kept him knocked out for a very long time so he could do all that stuff. But it is kind of stretching the limits of belief that he could have somehow done all of those things. And Bill Skarsgård just wakes up like he, however long he's been passed out.
Right.
Yeah. Nah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that's just kind of bonkers anyway. So
That's true.
it feels like in the grand scheme of things, like a small thing to get hung up on. But I hear you. I also was kind of wondering that myself. And it was definitely taking me out of the movie. Like, how the hell would he have even done that?
I know. And that's never a good sign when you're thinking,
Right.
wait a minute, how did that work? So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a fan of 2 out of 3 Skarsgårds, I guess. So,
Apparently.
yeah.
So what, Bill and Stellan? And you're not
Yeah.
not a fan of Alexander?
Just can't get on board with him. I don't know.
He's good.
I think there's another Skarsgård brother that's an actor.
I think several of them are also actors who are either much younger or are not famous in the US. So Stellan Skarsgård has either 7 or 9 kids. I can't remember.
That's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. It's like, who are you, Mike Love? Jesus Christ.
There's 2 other brothers. There's
2 other
Gustav
brothers.
and Walter.
Didn't want him to have success in the United States then, did he? Jeez. I mean, Stellan's hard enough. I mean, you climbed that mountain yourself, pal. Jeez.
Oh, Gustav was in Westworld, so there we
Huh?
go. And Oppenheimer, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, do we have other stuff we wanted to say about Locked?
I do not.
No.
All righty. Okay. Well, that wraps up the episode. I guess let's pause and go back to Ash. Would you recommend Ash?
If only so you could spot everything it's stealing from and compile a list. Then I would say maybe it's worth your time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be a great movie. A lot of movies are, but that would be a great movie for the Piecing Pod podcast, where all the inspirations are from and
piecing it together.
Yeah,
David
piecing it
Rosen's
together.
show.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
thinking Piecing Pod, his social media handle.
Yeah.
But yes, exactly. I think if you're looking for just a vibe, sure. I don't know how memorable this is, and your mileage may vary.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
Yeah.
it is very derivative, as Dave said. So yeah, unfortunately.
So much so. I'm waffling on this one because I'm teetering kind of between your mileage may vary and just skip altogether.
Oh, just skip then.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
I think
You could turn it into a drinking game. Anytime you see a reference to Alien or, I mean, just pick a sci-fi movie a horror movie set in space. Every time it rips off something, just be like, tequila,
Yep.
So,
All right. Well, that's an idea. But yeah, I think I lean more towards skip than C on that one. And oh boy, do I feel complicated about Locked, because I think there's some elements of it that are worth seeing, but I think if you have, I don't know. For me, it's just not my thing. So I wouldn't say. I don't think I would say see it, but it sounds like maybe you two would.
I don't know if definitely your mileage may vary, but I'm not sure how much I liked it. And just, it's not shit, I guess.
It's not shit.
That's a great
gotta go on the
pull
poster.
quote. I know,
Yeah,
right? It's not shit.
Dave Riedel from Spoiler Beast Theater.
I would recommend it if only for Bill Skarsgård's performance, because it is so good. But yes, definitely if you are at all similar to you, Evan, like where this is, the suffering is just too much. I don't know if this is a recommendation I would be like, no, you have to see it. But Bill Skarsgård is great. So I would recommend it for his performance.
Fair enough. All right, listeners. Well, those are our recommendations for this week. So I want to say a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you for making us sound so great week after week.
Thanks, Otto.
You can find the show anywhere you get podcasts, but you can also go to our website, which is spoilerpiece.com. We are on social media. We're Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook. We're at Spoiler Piece on Twitter and Instagram, and we're over on Blue Sky and Threads. so many places to be these days. But reach out to us there. You can follow us, connect with us. We do have some really fun conversations, I think, out there. We have a couple of listeners that like to chat with us on Twitter and Blue Sky, and we really enjoy that. So you can get in touch with us that way, or you can also send us an email, spoilerpiece@gmail.com. You can tell us your feelings on Ash or Locked. Tell us we're right. Tell us we're wrong. You just message us about something random. It could be a question about movies. It could be a question about food, because we have some strong opinions about food we've voiced on the show before. And if you want to call us, you can give us a call.
862-21-PEACE.
You can leave us a voicemail. You can send us a text. Love to hear from you. And if you like the show, please rate and review us by going to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That will take you to your platform of choice. We really appreciate the ratings and reviews. They help give us cred in the podcast world. And it's a no cost way to help us out. So we appreciate that. But if you really, really like the show, please consider joining our Patreon. As I mentioned at the top of this episode, we're talking about the 1975 film Night Moves, starring Gene Hackman, in honor of him this week. And for $5 a month, you get access to these weekly bonus episodes. We've got hundreds of episodes in our back catalog. We've been doing Patreon, a good amount of time. Like I would say, we did the show for a couple of years, and we've been doing this show for over 10 years. So you can imagine that we have quite a back catalog to listen to. And so please consider joining. And if you're a patron, we really appreciate it. And thank you for listening to the show. My name is Evan Crean. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the Ista Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, Letterboxd as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
My name is Megan Kearns. I write for Edge Media Network. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast. And I, too, am a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Opinion S World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
And I'm David Riedel on Blue Sky, and everywhere else I'm Dave Sees Movies, except Twitter, where I am not. And my name's Dave Riedel.
I am that guy.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.